Hi, I'm author Lucy McConnell.
And I'm author Erica Penrod.
And I'm your host, Shaylee Dymock. This is Angels Unscripted, where we talk all things angels. Did you know you have angels all around you? Join us as we talk books, friendship, romance, family, and more to discover the unscripted angels in your life.
Welcome back to Angels Unscripted. I'm Shaylee Dymock, your host, along with, of course, Erica Penrod and Lucy McConnell. They are the authors joining us today in episode 1. How exciting. If you didn't watch the intro, stop this and go back and watch the intro because it will teach you a lot of what you need to know before we get started. In this episode, we're going to be discussing all things angels with a focus on family. Book 1 in Lucy and Erica's brand new Angel Institute series is all about that. So why don't we start off our conversation by discussing our book and show them the cover. Very exciting. So you can start, Lucy.
Okay. What do you want me to do? You want me to just tell you about the book a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us what we're getting into with book 1, Tyler.
So Tyler is a single dad. And he is a lawyer. And when his wife left him and his daughter, Lena, he got the idea that as long as he could provide all the physical things for Lena, then he was a good dad.
Yeah.
And that he was doing the best he could by her by working constantly and making partner at the law firm. But this is taking a toll on Lena that he doesn't see. And so my sweet angel in this book her job is to bring Tyler to the understanding of what family is really about, and what better time to do that than at Christmas time. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
super excited about it.
Yes, and tell us a little bit. So you wrote book 1.
Mm-hmm.
Erica, which books did you write, or how does that all work? How did you separate?
We went every other.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm the odd numbers.
She's odd.
I'm odd. Erica's the
I'm
even numbers.
even.
Uh-huh.
Chill.
Yeah. So yes, that's how it works. So we just alternate every other story.
Okay, perfect. So, what if we start by asking you a couple questions about the book, and then we'll bring Erica, obviously, in a little later when we talk more about the spirit of the book. So, I think that our readers will be wondering, what inspired you to write a book centered around a workaholic single father?
Gosh. First of all, because there's an element of romance, Tyler has to be single. So, unless I need to do a married romance, those are wonderful. I love those books. But, I wanted Tyler the reason I wanted Lena in the story is because I think it's more real. There's a lot of single parents out there. I was raised by a single mom. And it's just kind of the world we live in right now, that if you're out there dating, you're probably going to be dating somebody that has a kid. Right. So maybe a couple kids even. But writing many children is hard. I don't know if you've noticed that when you're writing books. One child is fairly easy. 2 is a little bit of a... But if you're writing like 5 kids in there, readers kind of get lost, and it's hard to develop all of those characters. So Lena is adorable. She loves music. She takes violin lessons, and in fact it's her music teacher who is the main female character in the book and who Tyler falls in love with. And because she has so much music and brightness in her life, he cannot help himself but fall in love with her. So.
And how old is Lena?
Lena is in 1st grade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So she's just little.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
so
love
cute.
First graders.
Yeah.
I love first graders.
So oh my gosh.
So excited.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And especially at Christmas. Yeah. There's so everything is magical to a first grader at Christmas. It's a beautiful time of life. I'm like, if we could all have that joy all the time, it'd be amazing. Yeah.
For sure. So the concept of choosing family sounds like it's very recurring. It sounds like Tyler thinks he's doing the best for Lena, and he ends up not being able to. So let's talk about that concept, choosing family, and why that's so important in this first book.
It's a Wonderful Life story that was something of the inspiration for this book. It's obviously George is learning that he has a place in the world and that he is important in the world, but also how much his family meant to him. So when Clarence swiped his existence, his first thought was about his family. Like, he just wanted to find them. He just wanted to figure out where they were, and he was in a near panic because he'd lost them. So family is super important all year round. But, I mean, at Christmas time, there's just something about, we draw close the people that we love, and we pull them in. It can be a found family and people that you've built around you who are supportive and loving and kind. And it can be your actual family that you're given as you come into this world. So for me, growing up, one of my absolute favorite family traditions was starting December 1st. We would light candles in the front room and plug in the Christmas tree. And it was, so the whole room atmosphere had changed, right? So it went from these bright lights to this like very cozy room, and my mom would read us Christmas stories that she would get out of magazines like Women's World magazine or Good Housekeeping would have Christmas stories every year, and she would just collect them, and she collected them into this binder. And so she'd read, I mean, you know, they're like a page and a half in a magazine or something, and she'd read us these stories about the good feelings of Christmas, like about miracles that happened to people, or about an angel that came and helped somebody in a time of need, or maybe it was a earthly angel that came and helped somebody. And so I was kind of raised on these feelings of miracles happen at Christmas, angels are there, and we would just read and read and read until my mom was finally like, hey, we have to go to bed. Like, it's a school night. You guys have to go to bed, kind of a thing. But it was just creating that wonderful atmosphere and absorbing all of those stories and those feelings every single night that just made Christmas so incredibly wonderful. And so that's kind of what I wanted with this Tyler moment. So his big moment of realization, I'm not going to tell you how it happens, but he's looking at the mantle, seeing it's bare, except for the pictures of Lena as she's grown, and it shows the different, like her high school graduation, college graduation, things like that. But the whole house is completely bare. And that he realizes he missed it. He missed what was most important in life, but especially at Christmas time, because he was at work. And so later the house is empty. So it's like a big poignant moment where your heart just breaks for him, because he made the choices. He was on that path, and he kept that path. But your heart breaks because he's alone.
Well, and he thought he was doing the right thing.
And we do that so many times, don't we?
We have good intentions.
My intentions.
Right.
So that was kind of, it was the exact opposite of that feeling that I'd had and that experience that I'd had as a kid in the candle room, that I wanted to put in for Tyler. That was his awakening moment. So.
Right, and you feel that for him. You feel, you know, you spent all that time at Christmas with your family, and you just want the same for other people, to find their family and find, you know, the angels in their lives that just bring them the joy. And I know that Erica talked about this a little bit in our intro episode, just the feeling your family came together, and it was a different feeling at Christmas. And so, you know, choosing family is really important.
Well, and I want to add to that about choosing family, and that families look different no matter what, you know, everyone's family, especially in today's world, just everything is so different. And when I was growing up, we would go to my grandma's house on Christmas Eve, and my grandma was like a collector of, I don't know, just different souls.
Oh, okay.
She would always invite anyone who needed a place to go on Christmas Eve. They were invited to our dinner. And so when I went to my grandma's house, I met so many different people with very different backgrounds, with very different standards, ways of living. But as a child, I watched my grandma just embrace them and love them. And so that's also why Christmas, it was just such a magical time. But to be able to grow up and see my grandma just love any type of person and have them be welcomed into our family, I don't know, I just love that. And so family is so important, and you can create your own family, like whatever that looks like for you.
Right, exactly. So that's amazing. Yes, so choosing family is very recurrent in this book. as well as you touched a little bit about our angel.
Yes.
So tell us about the guardian angel in this book. We're all dying to know.
Rose is a happy soul. She was a tap dancer while here on earth, and she continues to tap dance in heaven.
That's
although
so sweet.
it's fun. Well, she tap dances, but like the floors are different. So
Yeah. Sounds a little bit different.
But for her, it's the rhythm, and the thing, and it's an expression of her joy and like a lot of the feelings that she can't keep inside. So she's that person that's sitting in class, her feet are constantly moving under the desk because she just can't sit still.
I was a clogger growing up, so
Yes.
my dad would yell from the basement, "Quit clogging!" So I get it.
Yeah, thankfully Henry's very understanding about it.
That's
But the idea too was that we each have talents and abilities that are given to us from God. And just because she's moved on to the next life doesn't mean that talent or ability goes away, and it's a joy that she has. And so anyway, yes, she tap dances. She just bursts into dance because she cannot help herself. So there are times when she does that in the story, and she'll draw a crowd, and people will watch, and she'll do her little dance. And it's
What's
a lot
her
of fun.
heavenly job? We haven't talked about that they have heavenly jobs.
They do have heavenly
What's
jobs.
Rose's heavenly
I'm like,
job?
You're going to put me on the
I'm
spot
sorry.
because I'm like,
Oh,
no.
do you
'cause
remember?
Gladys is at the Blessings Hotline.
Yes,
So it's Gladys that is the Blessings Hotline one. Is that the one you were thinking of?
I can't remember. So just to fill people in,
Right.
we wanted to give, these angels are trying to get their wings, so and then if they don't get them, they have to wait another 100 years. So in the meantime, they have heavenly jobs that not all of them love.
Right. They're a little
So,
bit harder.
yes.
Yeah. Rose is she's a guidance counselor.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So new souls come in, new spirits, new angels arrive, and she helps them place them in jobs that they can do around heaven as they're acclimating and deciding which path they want to go once they're there. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So she when she first starts, loves putting people in places that are unexpected for them to help them grow and try something new and get out of their comfort zones and things like that. But she has one case that she's working with who he doesn't like where she's placed him, and it's this constant kind of thing in the background, B story that's happening for her as she's doing her other guiding job. So it's a fun little tie-in to have these lessons that the angels also learn, because they are students. They are learning. They're figuring out, so this is a final test, so they haven't passed that test yet, so they're not full practicing angels. So anyway, it's fun to see them learn and grow as well.
Yeah, that's so fun. It sounds like Rose is a great person to be around.
Yeah.
And we did have a question from a listener just about Rose. Is there someone in your life that reminds you of Rose? That joy and...
Somebody who's always happy and is always spreading that joy.
Or is always tap dancing?
Maybe not the tap dancing part as much, but maybe the joy and the happiness year-round, not only at Christmas.
I think Rose is a compilation of several people that, she has different attributes from several people. I think there's a little bit of myself in her, even.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah, I think, I'm trying to pin it down to one person. I'm like,
I put you on the spot,
and this person with that.
Well, she can be many people.
I kind of pull them together, yeah. So, the old joke for authors, don't make me mad or you'll end up in my book. Kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I write and you end up in my book, it's a good thing because I'm pulling your best attributes for my angels. So this is a good thing. So don't be worried if you know me that I'm going to write you into my book because I only do that in the good way.
All good things.
Yes, all good things.
So, are there any characters in your books inspired by real people, or is it the same kind of thing where you're taking little bits out of people and bringing them to one person, one
people
character in your
ask
book?
me all the time, and you probably get this too. Are all your men based on your husband? Do you get that question? I get that a lot. At least...
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I
For
don't
the
know
last
that I've
20
even
years,
had that.
I've gotten that question at least 3 times a year.
Really?
And so the answer is sort of. Because my husband is very active and has a lot of different interests. And so I may write a male main character who is into snowshoeing, because this year my husband is like, let's all try snowshoeing, and so we all try snowshoeing. And I might write another character who's into skiing, because this year we're skiing. And so yes, he's an inspiration for my characters, but not in the way everybody implies when they ask that question.
Right.
So,
he's not Tyler. He's not the single
he's
dad
not my
in this
single
book.
dad, right? So yes, there's nobody that I've actually. The thing is, I haven't actually taken one person and written them as a character before.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to work out that way.
Right, well, different situations and things in
Yeah.
your book. And
Yeah.
that's
And
understandable.
so, anyway, yeah.
Are there any plans in the future to bring Tyler Rose into any of your books?
So, Tyler, because these all happen at the same time, they're in the same town, characters do cross over and pop in here and there. Thankfully, for the rest of my characters, they don't need a lawyer. So, Tyler is kind of, because he's so busy, he doesn't pop up in a lot of other places. He does show up at the Christmas parade,
Okay.
which is in book 7. The organizers of the Christmas parade are there, but they're kind of unaware of each other. Just different circles kind of thing. In book
Right.
7, they're artists and influencers, and then so it's just kind of a different circle. So I would like to bring Tyler back, mostly because his new girlfriend is she's best friends with one of the characters that I would like to write for Valentine's Day. So they will probably pop up in that
In later
book.
seasons.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think that helps readers connect to know Tyler from this book as well. And, Tyler is up for pre-order right now. So if you're interested in learning more, I think it sounds like a great book. I'm excited to read it. So that is up on their website, www.angelinstitutebooks.com. So go and check that out, and you can follow along. So let's move right along and talk about the importance of families and angels. And we'll bring Erica into this to start.
Uh-oh.
And you'll be hearing more about her in the next episode as well, because she writes book 2.
Book 2. Yeah.
So that's very exciting. Anyways, so let's talk some more about importance of families and angels, and we'll head right over to Erica. And I'm wondering how you define the role of family and Christmas in your life.
The role of family and Christmas. Well, I think what we're trying to give, like what we're trying to do with Angel Institute, or what our angels are assigned to do, we're trying to give all of our characters the feeling of Christmas, which for me is family. You've got to have someone that you love to have Christmas.
Of course.
Of course, it goes back to our Savior, who, is the whole reason for the season. Mm-hmm. I had to rhyme. And so that is the main focus, but part of that is having family, is having someone to share that with. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I just think family and Christmas, I just don't know how you have one without the other. No. Although I will say, I do have a family member who lives in another state and is oftentimes alone at the holidays, and not alone in that she doesn't have friends that way, but she doesn't have family members who live near her. And so a lot of the times she'll volunteer at the soup kitchen, or she's off doing something so good. So while she doesn't have her family right with her necessarily during the holidays, she's out doing good and with friends and kind of creating her own family. So I think family's huge with Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm sure that she's, an angel in somebody else's life during Christmas season.
Exactly, she is.
And,
sure.
That's how a lot of people are. We have our people serving in the military and, people overseas, and we have people that can't afford to go to their family for Christmas, and people who don't have family for Christmas. And, we have our own family and our own friends, and you can try to be an angel in somebody else's life. Yeah. And I think that brightens up your Christmas as well?
Well, I think it goes back to what you mentioned earlier is, I think we were talking about decorating maybe. It was like you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
Like, and I am a huge believer of that. Like, whatever you put into Christmas, that's what you're going to get out of it. A lot of people will be like, well, I'm not doing that this year. I'm not doing this year. I'm not writing cards. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And sometimes there is a good reason, and this year it's just not working.
Yeah.
But I really believe the more you put into it, the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
And so that,
and that's with anything, not even Christmas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and the spirit of giving is different than like depositing in a bank where you're like, oh, this is going to build interest and I'm going to get this out of it and it's going to be so great. Like, the actual true spirit of giving is just a beautiful, like, it feeds you as much as it feeds anybody else that you're giving to. Yeah. So
right. And we do have, one of our books is on giving.
I was just going to say, maybe we should write about that. Oh wait,
you have. So yeah, touching on the spirit of Christmas and family, what Christmas traditions do you guys have in your homes that you'd like to share?
Currently, I'll let Erica go first.
Wow, I was like already. Okay, I'll go first. Okay, one of our family's traditions we started, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so. My family is small, or my extended family. So I have my parents, and then I have 2 other sisters, and I had a brother who passed away when he was 25. So right now our family's kind of small, and we would only get together on Christmas Eve for our big family party. Well, we decided that wasn't enough because we want to celebrate the whole month. And so every Monday in December, we take turns. So between my 2 sisters and I, and we host a family night at our home. Yeah. And so everyone comes. So I, over the years, we kind of just like tradition, like were assigned a thing because it just became ours, whether we wanted it or not. So my other sister, she is over gingerbread houses. Every year we do gingerbread houses.
That's so fun. Yeah.
Mine, we watch The Grinch every year, like the little cartoon. Sometimes we, when the kids were younger, I would do a little nativity activity with them, and then we would watch The Grinch and that. But now we watch The Grinch, and then we play a couple games. We do Christmas bingo.
Okay.
And then we do a little present pass along where you read the poem, pass left, Santa left to the, So we do that game, which is getting a little bit challenging because everybody's grown up now. When the kids were little, like I would go to the dollar store and wrap up all these little dollar store things and they just loved it. But now it's kind of hard. The 18, 19, 20-year-old passing the dollar store, I'm not sure if I'm going to move to candy bars or something. But anyway, we do that and have a treat. And then my sister, she kind of has like game night, like big games, and so... Yeah, that's just like one tradition that has allowed us to celebrate the whole month long. It's not just one Christmas party. Yeah. We get to spend a lot of time together. So, that's one of my favorites.
Brings more Christmas spirit into your month.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, Lucy, what about you?
So there's a lot that I could pick from, and that's why I was giving you that. Like, I need to sort through. Okay, so one of my most beloved Christmas traditions of all times is hand dipping chocolates for Christmas. Growing up, it was always the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We dipped enough so that my mom, 2 aunts, and grandma had gifts to give out. So I'm talking
busy.
hundreds of pounds of chocolates were hand dipped in one day. Everybody had a certain job. Everybody was good at something. They specialized in a certain area. As the family's grown and as my grandma passed and everything, it kind of came down to now it's my mom and me and my daughter, and then sometimes because my brothers and their families are out of town, but if some of them are in town, then they jump in and participate. We do not do hundreds of pounds of chocolate.
Not anymore.
No. We probably do, oh my gosh, I gotta think, maybe 25 to 30 pounds. One year we did, I think, 58 and it about killed us. Like, we were so tired. But the funny thing is so my kids are finally like grown to the point that they're noticing things. And so I would be like, thank you for helping. You can go fill up your box. And they'd all go fill their boxes up that were like a good half-pound size of chocolates. And then I would take the rest. My own big box that was like 5 times the size. It was probably 3 pounds of chocolate. And I would eat those throughout the year. And my kids this last year were like, hey, wait a minute. And I'm like,
they caught you finally.
They caught on that I was sneaking most of the chocolate. But anyway, so that for me is super fun. And the reason that it was so special is because it was all the women in the family that got together to do it. It was our thing. We were creating something beautiful together that we could share with everybody, that everybody we gave them to loved them. And so it was a time to just be with these women that, and for family, for me, that was like a time of bonding, to hear stories. And we create these moments. There's like one time we were so tired, and my grandma, I remember her just laying on the floor in the living room, and she calls my mom. She's trying to get my aunt, and she accidentally says my mom's name. Then she goes, no, and she says the other aunt's name. And then she's like, no, the other one. Like, and we all just started laughing because we were so tired. Like, she can't even remember her own daughter's name. We were so tired, but it was hilarious. Like, and so the laughter and those moments were just cherished, and they've always been cherished. And so to carry those on now and pass it on to the next generation, and it's a skill, it's a talent to be able to hand dip chocolates and to temper the chocolate and things.
Especially hundreds of pounds of chocolates.
And to make the fondant.
Very good talent.
Like my daughter learned how to make the fondant, and then to make the caramels and all the things, and like there's days of preparation and getting ready for it, and it's just this excitement and inside that, oh, it's chocolate dipping day. So and then we have gifts, and so I can give out hand dipped chocolates at Christmas.
Yes, I receive those every year, and I love them.
She's like, just keep doing that.
I love that tradition. I do it
too. Oh my gosh, okay.
Yep.
Right, when you don't have to do the work.
I know. I just receive all the goodness.
Oh, they're so good. We could probably eat the fondant's so delicious. We could probably eat it just by spoonfuls without chocolate. Honestly, it's so good. And in fact, I will find snitches, like missing sections of it in the fridge, and I'm like, somebody's been into the fondant again. But
well, and if you know Chrissy, then she loves chocolate, so that could be where she got her love of chocolate.
That might have been where it all started.
So, let's get more in depth on guardian angels. I know we talked a lot about Christmas spirit. We've talked a little bit about guardian angels during Christmas. Let's just talk maybe about where your belief of guardian angels comes from, or if you have any guardian angels in your lives that you've seen, and that's where your belief comes from.
Yeah, so I am a 100% believer that we have angels all around us all the time. They are unseen helpers. They are there. We don't always get to know that they're there. Sometimes we are gifted with that knowledge. But I 100% throughout my life have been attended by angels. And I'll just tell a real quick story. I had hyperemesis pregnancies, which if you have never heard of that before, it's where you're so nauseous all the time that you become malnourished. You can't keep any food down, you're dehydrated. Eventually you end up hospitalized. I spent one day I was like, I'm going to count how many times I throw up today. And it was 12 times before noon. And then I said, okay, I'm not counting anymore. As I was just like laying on the floor in the bathroom.
That's so miserable.
It was a really hard, my pregnancies were really hard. And they get worse with each pregnancy. I'm sorry if you have them and you didn't know that, but they get worse with each pregnancy. And so I was pregnant with my third baby, and I had 2 little ones that were 5 and 3. Yeah. And I was home, my husband was working, and I was so incredibly sick. And I remember just pleading with my father for some help or some comfort, not any kind. I'm like, I'll take whatever you got. Like, I was just kind of a thing. And as I was, for lack of a better term, throwing up and leaning over, I could feel a hand on my back, just rubbing circles on my back. And my spirit recognized my great-grandmother, Elizabeth.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I knew she was there with me to comfort me in that moment. And it was an answer to prayer. But then I thought, how many times has she been here and I haven't known? And she's been helping. And so, yes, 100% I believe in guardian angels. Yeah. More likely than not, they're people we know. who have gone before or who love us. I, a few years back in my 30s, I used to be a runner. I'm not a runner anymore. But I was doing a race here in town for the town days. And they had the kids do a 1 miler, and then the grown-ups were doing the 5K. And so I had passed my kids because they started the 1 miler after ours, and I had passed my kids running and finished. And the second I crossed that finish line, I turned around and started cheering on my kids. And I thought, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
This is what it's like when you go, you turn right around and you're cheering on those who are coming behind you that you love. And so I just think that that's what's happening. So if, you have angels or people that you love who have gone before, just know that they're cheering you on. They're there. They're doing all that they can to make or to bring the comfort of Christ into your life and then to be there with you and support you.
Yeah, that's very special. So Erica, tell us your view on guardian angels and if you have any experience you'd like to share.
Well, maybe not so much as guardian as guiding. How's that? As she was speaking, I mentioned my grandma earlier that that's who we went to her home on Christmas Eve, and I love both of my grandmas. They both passed within the same year when I was 15. But this particular grandma, I didn't know this happened. Like I said, I started writing in our intro podcast. I started writing when I was 36 years old. So I did not know that I would want to write. I had no idea. So as things happened, as I was basically given a Christmas present, a laptop, my husband gave me it, and I just had the feeling, I wonder if I can write a book, which is really a strange thought. Why would you have that thought? I don't know.
Because you're crazy.
Yeah, I know. And so anyway, I started this journey. As I started writing, I started remembering my grandma talking to me when I was a little girl, and I had never remembered this until this moment when I started writing. I remembered giving her little papers with little poems and little little things on it, and she said, "Erica, you're a writer." And it came back to me that she had told me that, and I didn't, until that time in my life, I didn't remember that. And then when she was sick for quite a while, she had emphysema, and so she knew she was going to pass away. She had written all of her grandkids, which she only had 5. Yeah. She had written us a letter, and in that letter, she told me that I was a writer, that I was, and so I know that she's with me through this whole journey. And I did base a character on her in our Diamond Cove series, Polly.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Oh, I did base a character on her, but I know she is a huge influence in my life, and I know that she's my angel. She's my guiding angel. And I am so grateful that she saw that in me as a child, so that as I started on this journey, and some days it's not always super easy to be an author, just throwing this out there, and you have to have thick skin, but I am so grateful that I can lean on her. I can remember her telling me that, and so it's something that I hope to do with my own grandchildren, as I recognize their talents and their gifts, that I hope that I can do that as well. So I do have a guiding angel.
That's neat.
That's awesome. So, do you feel like your belief in guardian angels kind of brought you to write these books?
Probably in a lot, like I said, in the long term, I've wanted to write an angel story or angel series for a long time, and so I think it's been there, like I say, in the background, kind of percolating.
The guiding influence.
The guiding influence has been there, just waiting for an opportunity to be expressed. So it's been and I love angels. I love the idea, but also the reality of them. And so I think the challenge that I had with writing these books was not making them too fantastical, because miracles are miracles, and they, to the person that receives the miracle, they have to seem like a miracle, but to there's always an explanation as to how God made it come about. And so that's what I think was fun, was showing that this angel was the way that it came about. And so I think that happens too. I think with our guardian angels that are in our lives, they're working on things that we can't even see. Like,
Exactly.
So I'll just, like, we had a tire blowout last weekend, and everybody was safe. It was on the horse trailer. All the animals are safe. Everybody's safe. And I'm like, how many angels were around at that moment, traveling at 60 miles an hour on a back road? That sounds bad. It's a highway, but it was like it's in the country. So it's paved. It
still the back road, I think. Yeah,
60 on a dirt road. It wasn't that, but
it wasn't the interstate,
right? But it wasn't. There was no reason for it to have blown, but for it to have blown, and everybody and every animal safe in that situation. To me, that requires angels, and that requires a miracle.
Such a miracle.
So, yeah, I see it all the time, and that's one of the things. If you start asking the Lord to show you, the things He shows you,
right?
So,
and I know that Erica touched along her grandma as well, and it sounds like you did end up bringing your grandma into one of your books.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So I'm sure that it has touched you to write, angels in your books as well.
Yeah, it's like whatever our focus is, that's what we find and we see. So as we're writing angel books, I am hearing about angels. I'm seeing like people sharing their stories and not intentionally maybe.
Right.
Like I'm just seeing there's angels just really quickly. And I kind of wanted to save the story for the future.
You can.
But no, just really quickly, there was an angel, a woman who is a youth leader and over young women, and I had the opportunity to watch her literally wrap her arms around her what would I call it? Charge, yes. This sweet girl, and help her accomplish something, and is literally an angel in this girl's life. And I just saw that this last week. So yeah, getting to write angel stories has just brought example after example into my life, and so it's been great. It's that's
awesome.
I mean, who doesn't want to look for angels? Like, it's so much funner to look for
so special
for good things than it is to look on the negative side. And so this just lets me focus on the good stuff. So,
agreed.
Yeah.
Right, and even though there is those guardian angels that are family, like you said, there's so many of just people who support you, people who love you. And with Angel Institute, these people didn't know these angels, and these angels were brought to help them. So, there's always an angel somewhere trying to help you, and they care about you. And I think that's so special.
Yeah.
So, and in this podcast, I know this is the first episode, but we're going to have more and more angel stories and from everyone else. And I think that's important to see, not only the angels in our lives, but in your life and in the people around you, in their life as well. And if you want to submit any stories to us, if you have a feeling like, hey, I have had a guardian angel in my life, here's here's why, and it's really special to me, then share it with us. And we have Instagram and TikTok, Angels Unscripted Podcast, and you can message them to us, or if you'd like to email us, angelinstitutestories@gmail.com is a great source. And if you're comfortable sharing, we'll share your story on our podcast, and there's a chance that you'll touch somebody else's life, and I think that's really special as well. And we'll have guests here as well. Time for this week, but follow us here on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're so thankful that you were able to join us today on this Monday morning. So, our episode next week, we'll be talking about Book 2, Friendship, Angels, and more angel stories. So, join us then. Thank you, and
We'll
see you next Monday!